Scotty Powell joining us from the foothills of North Carolina with an additional perspective. We've got Frank Strait on the ground in the area as well. I'm James Brierton from our headquarters here in Charlotte. We are coming up on 7 o'clock. We are watching a tornado-warned cell in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, the upstate. We have live DOT cameras from the area as well. We're in a pretty good spot in terms of observation with radar and Frank and DOT. We do now have a brand new polygon. This is about to be extended, and it's going to bring our way right on up to the North Carolina border. You'll see it update on our imagery here in just a moment. I'm going to go single panel so you can actually see it a little bit better on our broadcast. But this has now been reissued by the National Weather Service until 7:30 tonight. And let's go ahead now and let you know that this also includes Rutherford County, North Carolina, as the National Weather Service is continuing to track a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It is going to be moving now north and was located 9 miles north of Spartanburg or near Boiling Springs at 45 miles an hour. The threat here, of course, in addition to the tornado itself, is some flying debris and wind. This will be near, Frank, help me out. Is this Chesney? Is that how you say that?
Yes, Chesney.
Chesney.
Mayo and Chesney, you're going to be in that new, well, Mayo isn't, Chesney is. Yes, my original impression is correct. Looking at this new warning, it's a very narrow polygon there, right over Boiling Springs. If you're in Boiling Springs, you need to be in shelter right now because the most dangerous part of the storm is moving over you, over toward Chesney, and especially just west of there. That's the next area of concern. And in Rutherford County, the area just south of Forest City, the far southern part of Rutherford County, that's the area where the storm will track next. So there you have a little bit of time to get to shelter. And again, do not rely on seeing a tornado coming at you. Any tornado will be rain wrapped, and you won't see it coming at you. You need to get into shelter and not concern yourself with what you might see first. Get into shelter and wait for an all clear.
Absolutely. Frank of the voice of Frank Strait there. Joining us from the upstate area inside this tornado warning. I'm waiting for, and I'm not sure why it hasn't updated yet, so let me just go ahead and let you know, folks, that this extended tornado warning now until 7:30, as we mentioned, is going to be in Chesney until about 7:10. It's going to be right on up in here. It's also going to include Forest City with an ETA of about 7:20. We're going to be making our way into Rutherford County, North Carolina. We are just going to miss Cleveland County, North Carolina. And so we have two counties that will be in this tornado warning. Spartanburg County, this is the northern part of Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and the southern part of Rutherford County until 7:30. Still waiting on the details as well from the Weather Service.
James,
go ahead, Scotty.
I can't say weather radios just went off. Mine went off here at the house. This is going to be moving into a more populated area there in Rutherford County, as well as northern Spartanburg. Looking at the radar, the rotation may not be as prevalent as it was earlier, but I can read this new text if you've not got it yet.
I've got the new text, and I just got the new, and this is going to fall just short of Rutherfordton and Forest City, and this was exactly what Frank was just outlining. Let's just go ahead and presume that this is just going to keep going. And so, if you're in those areas, Forest City, Ellenboro, think right now, where am I going to go? What am I going to wear? Shoes, pants, helmet, because you're going to go into shelter. Best case scenario, nothing happens. Worst case scenario, if you got to come back out into that shelter and you encounter debris, you want to already be wearing those shoes and that helmet and those other safety precautions. Now, I want to remind you here, this is the only warning we have right now in the Carolinas. If we go ahead and zoom this back out, this is the only tornado warning. You can see we have lots of showers, thunderstorm activity that is now moving into western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, even impacting the Masters earlier just across in Georgia there. But this is the only warning, and this is the only tornado warning we have right now that is heading out of Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and eventually going to be crossing into North Carolina. Still waiting on the details from the Weather Service. Are you guys, when you're looking at velocity, having any luck figuring out exactly where this thing might be right now?
Yeah, it looks pretty messy to me. Not seeing it as much, but it could be cycling as well. These are going to be quick spin ups today, and I think Frank mentioned just a little bit earlier, they're going to be wrapped in rain. So just looking here on the velocity on my side, if you see anything, it might be a little bit outside of the polygon near Chesney, just to the north of Chesney, heading towards Cliffside, Bullen Springs, and Cleveland.
You think it's all the way up here?
Let me look at your radar screen. Yeah, that stands out to me where the rotation might be, and it could be cycling in this storm. And so when it cycles, loses old rotation, and new rotation develops somewhere outside of that. So we'll have to monitor that. May just be a bad radar feed scan as well there, James.
Either way, folks, as we're commentating on where this could or could not be, we want to remind you not to mess around if you're inside this red polygon warning. Take action regardless of where it could be, and that's why the Weather Service it fans out a little bit, kind of similar to what you might think of when we're tracking hurricanes, right? That forecast cone on a hurricane, when it gets days out, gets wider and wider, because even here on the short term, when we're talking minutes over location, the tornado could wobble, could move, could cycle, and so we want to just everybody inside that warning to go ahead and seek shelter. Frank, while we're waiting for further information to come on in, I want to talk a little bit more about manufactured homes. What is the best thing that you can do in that situation?
Well, in that situation, you want to find a good, sturdy shelter. You don't want to be in anything manufactured, the mobile home or the like. A tornado can just really demolish those very easily, and you're in a very dangerous situation there. As you can see from from what I'm showing on my camera here, I'm far east of the polygon at this point, but you can see. I have the camera pointed up at the clouds, and you can see rapid and somewhat chaotic motion in the clouds up there. And there's a good bit of wind not far above the ground. So I would have to say that in addition to the tornado risk, there's also the risk for some straight line wind damage away from this main threat area. It probably would not take much. The wind is actually picking up a little bit in my location now, which I'm just a little south of I-85 and maybe 3 miles northeast of Spartanburg, sort of between Spartanburg and Cowpens is where I am right now. And the clouds look quite fascinating, as you should be able to see from just what I'm showing on my iPhone here. So this is certainly not a storm you want to trifle with, even if you're not exactly in the polygon. Best to be indoors, if nothing else, and not out on the roads. Delay travel until this line of storms goes by. Even if you are not in the warned area, it's best that you avoid travel and stay indoors for the time being.
Absolutely, Frank. And you mentioned that rotation you're seeing there. Now, a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of strong thunderstorms, folks, will rotate, but it's a question of how concentrated and how strong is that rotation when it just goes from being regular cycling of a thunderstorm to rotation. And what Frank's looking at is what so many of us have been looking at across the Carolinas today with mini supercells, even ones moving across the Charlotte area here, where you have a wall cloud. It's rotating. We just did storm spotter training. Many of you at home joined the Carolina Weather Group and the National Weather Service for virtual storm spotter training. And you might remember during that class, they were quizzing us, right? Is this a wall cloud? Is it rotating? Is it touching the ground? It's when that funnel is touching the ground that it's a tornado. And so we're all keeping our eyes on the sky, going through that checklist. And that's exactly what Frank's doing right now. Right now, Frank's got some of that rotation. He's maybe got a little bit of that lowering, and we're getting that with so many of our thunderstorms. But it's just what comes after that is always the big question. Folks in the chat right now are concerned, are anxious, are fear-mongering that we're all going to die. You're not going to die if you take precautions. We are looking right now at a tornado warning that we need to take seriously, but this is not a well-fueled outbreak day. We're looking at smaller scale, quick little spin-ups that if you happen to be in the micro-scale area where this impacts, this is going to ruin your weekend. But remember, we can take precautions and take safety measures to keep ourselves and our property safe. And it's just about getting to the lowest level of your home with as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. And as we were just talking about with Frank, there are, we always say, go to a sturdy structure. You don't want to try to outrun a tornado. You're not going to be able to do that. It doesn't have to stop for traffic lights. if you're not yet in a tornado warning and you're in a tornado watch, or you're in a situation where you maybe are downstream from a tornado warning, and there's another place that you go to that is outside of your manufactured home or the place that you're currently at, then you could think about heading to that location. But if once you're inside the active tornado warning, you don't want to be chasing or fleeing it. You just want to be in the best situation you can be. As many walls between you and the outside world as possible, as low to the ground, or if not below the ground if you can. Put that helmet on. Find a bike helmet. Find a pillow to hold over your head. Anything for a little extra protection. We do have... go ahead, Scotty. I think you're going to relay.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got a damage report from the Moore area right on the path of that couplet, that little CC drop that we were talking about just a little bit ago. So that is where that damage report's coming from. So we've got some verified damage. Earlier, let's see, I would say about an hour and a half ago, we had a damage report coming out of Oconee County, South Carolina.
We did.
To kind of line up with this line of storms. So reading the damage there, I wouldn't be surprised if they send the National Weather Service sends out a survey team to that Oconee County report, and now it looks like another survey may be done here with this report near Roebuck. And
talk about that report. Carolina. That report caught our attention. We retweeted it before because it was not verbiage you normally see every day. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen.
It was emergency management reported a flipped car and structural damage to a CVS on Blue Ridge Boulevard. And CVS, I would assume that it's a CVS pharmacy. So the pretty well built building and a car being flipped over. You just don't see that with a 60 mile per hour wind gust in a thunderstorm. So
yeah, that was weird. That
could be maybe one of those quick spin ups, that just occur in a radar scan or two, and then is gone. So I'd be interested to see if they do follow up with a damage survey, which I'm assuming they may do that with the damage to structure. Yeah. That probably will be done sometime tomorrow.
And just to clarify for everyone, that was in a storm earlier at about 5:55. We're now watching this tornado warning that goes for northern Spartanburg County and into portions of Rutherford County, North Carolina until 7:30. We do have a expected National Weather Service damage report coming in momentarily from the Moore, South Carolina area associated with this warning within the last half an hour or so. We don't have the details on that just yet, but the Weather Service is tracking storms. They're putting out the warnings. That is first priority. Second priority is documenting the damage left behind it so that they can know what the history of these cells are, and then as Scotty was just mentioning, then they'll go out the next day and actually put human eyeballs as storm investigators on some of this damage if that's what needs to be done. But right now, this thing is, it's funny. We're so close to the radar sites, Scotty, but I think because of the terrain and the storm structure, we're having a hard time on the right side of the screen and the velocity really pinpointing where this rotation is.
Excuse me, the pollen's killing me, so I'm thankful for the rain today. But this storm's also moving pretty fast too. I was just looking at some of the storm tracks here on radar scope, and they're moving to the northeast around 30 to 40 miles per hour. So if we do see this warning continued, we may see a new issuance here soon because it is now into Rutherford County. So if you're in Forest City, over towards Rutherfordton, there's the Cliffside area. You definitely want to be in your safe place. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to be in that most centralized location. If you don't have a basement, that's where you need to be. If you do have a basement, that's where to go. But if you don't, most centralized location, as many walls between you and the outside. You want to have a helmet to protect your head because most tornado injuries or fatalities come from trauma to your head from flying debris. So you want to make sure you have that, some kind of sturdy shoes, like good tennis shoes, boots, something like that. So if there was any damage and you had to walk outside, you wouldn't receive any injuries from that. I also suggest some goggles or glasses or something like that to keep any flying debris out of your eyes. And so if you live in Forest City, Alexander Mills, Caroline, Cliffside, Ellenboro, Bostic, Rutherfordton, you want to be in that safe place as this rotation, this tornado warning storm is quickly moving into Rutherford County.
Yeah, I was going to say, theoretically, it's somewhere right in here. And my bad drawing.
It's hard to pick out. It's embedded. This is what we call embedded tornadoes. If you've ever heard the word embedded and you're not really sure what that means, this is a perfect example of that. It's embedded. It's not like these supercells tornadoes that we see out in the plains and things like that. And I know we saw a few mini supercells today that actually produced some wall clouds over the Mecklenburg and Iredell County areas. So, but this is more embedded with that line, so it's going to be really messy. It's going to be hard to detect.
I want to go ahead and also put Frank's picture on the screen for us here. And Frank, you're still in Spartanburg County, and Frank's just showing us the rest of the Carolinas. We only have this one tornado warning right now, but there are areas that are seeing this heavy rain, making travel kind of difficult. Just look at the rain bouncing off the roof there, Frank.
Yes, indeed. The wind is really blowing the rain around, and the rain's heavy. So that's limiting your visibility, and some spray from the wind as well. I guess I've seen wind gusts maybe peaking at 35 to 40 miles an hour here, perhaps maybe even 45, but probably closer to 35 to 40 where I am. And that's probably in general what you're seeing outside of the tornado risk area. Maybe not quite to severe thunderstorm level, but not far below that. And again, just a nasty setup to be outdoors. Again, even if you're not in the warned area and have to take a sturdy shelter, you don't want to be outdoors in this. So definitely delay travel as these storms move through. Move indoors as they approach if they haven't hit you yet, because it is a nasty storm, even outside of the tornado risk area, which I see that's been canceled now for Spartanburg County and is up in Rutherford County only for now. But those of you south of Forest City, respect the polygon, as they say in Alabama, and move into a sturdy shelter now.
Yeah, that's right. So right now, Spartanburg County, South Carolina, you're clear. This is just going to be Rutherford County, just short of Forest City. Forest City, you might as well just go ahead and start thinking about where you're going to go because of the speed that this thing is potentially moving. We'll find out from the Weather Service whether or not they extend this. Frank talked about travel. Highway 74 is right on the edge of this polygon still. So if you know somebody that you're expecting to be driving along Highway 74, give them a ring, let them know, because we know how hard it is sometimes to get these warnings while you're out driving.
James,
go ahead.
I'll say this. I know Frank's from the area. I go down to that area a lot as well. And Highway 74 is kind of that business corridor where all the restaurants, all the shops, kind of the main attraction to each town is along that area. So it's a very populated area. So definitely, if you know anyone who may be out to eat or shopping, and then maybe they're just not aware of the weather situation, you might want to give them a call or a text because this is going to be moving into that more business-like district of Rutherford County.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's still somewhere up in here. Now, we are also watching this guy. You guys see this little short here back south of Chesney? I don't know if that's anything or not. We'll give it a couple more scans. It's almost like on the back end of the storm.
Yeah, it looks like another broad rotation that's kind of developed there. We'll have to keep an eye on that area too, but it doesn't look like an immediate threat right now.
Yeah. It is 7:16. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was the voice of Frank Strait in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, in his car. We've got Scotty Powell in Morganton, North Carolina, in the western foothills. We are watching a tornado-warned cell here on this Saturday, April the 10th, 2021, until 7:30. You can see that scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Live coverage from us here at the Carolina Weather Group, streaming on the all-new Carolina Weather Net. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. We do appreciate you tuning in and monitoring this situation with us. And just to widen back out again, on the left side of your screen, we have it's a little hard to tell sometimes. So let me just go back to single panel. Sometimes we're doing a two-panel view. This is a singular panel view right now. And as I zoom all the way out, you can kind of see a little bit of what's happening in the Carolinas. We just have that one polygon in red. That's tornado warning there for that section of Rutherford County. North Carolina. We don't have any other warnings right now, but there are other areas that we are watching. And you can see that this line of storms extends all the way down Interstate 26, making our way back towards the Columbia Metro, a little shy of Aiken, back towards that broader Augusta kind of metro area. And so we're watching this line for the potential of a little spin up here or there. And Frank Straight's going to pop off the line here for a moment and concentrate on driving. Good safety call, Frank. Appreciate that note to see exactly what may be to find still out there as a lot of this activity now moves a little bit further to his north. So you can see a new lightning strike now reported. Again, lightning itself is not an ingredient that the Weather Service will use, or not a prereq that the Weather Service will use in order to issue a warning. Still very dangerous and still an indication to us of a strong storm. Strong storms produce lightning. They don't qualify for warnings by themselves, but a tornado warning is either we see a tornado or the thunderstorm is rotating to the point where we think it could produce a tornado or a funnel. And then a severe thunderstorm warning, if we were to get one of those at any point tonight, that is for damaging winds over 60 miles an hour or 1-inch size hail, which is the size of a quarter, which for once in my life I actually have in my pocket because we went shopping at Aldi today. All right, we are watching this tornado warned storm. It is a little hard to see. We're going back to 2-panel, almost a little bit clearer here, Scotty Powell. If we look at these velocities on the right side of our screen, it's probably right up in there, north of the state line, still south of Forest City by 5 miles.
Yeah, just looking at the Weather Service, they're commenting the same thing. Little squigglies in there, but not much of a clear couplet. So those squigglies are just kind of those little notches that we watch, where it shows some rotation. But James, where you've highlighted looks to be the area of interest of where we are watching. So we will continue to watch that. And again, that's along that's Highway 221, I believe. Yes, 221. So that would be moving into kind of a bypass area where a lot of your main businesses are. So more rural farmland type area. But again, you need to be in that safe place. James, I will say, just if we continue to watch this polygon track, the next part of the area would be my area. So I'm watching that with interest to see kind of what happens with this line. But, this is going to be
you got 35 miles.
Us. Yeah. It's going to be with us for a little while as this band of rain moves in. And I'm actually looking outside right now.
Because you're right. You're looking at this whole band, aren't you? Not just that one little.
Yeah. The whole band is rotating, and I'm looking out my window right now, and the low level clouds, what we call the low level or the low level jet, not to get too weather technical, but the clouds are really moving fast. They're really screaming, and that just shows us that there's a lot of instability, a lot of ingredients close to the surface. If we could get these updrafts to really sustain themselves, that could produce these brief tornadoes.
Well, it's like we were looking at before with Frank. We're looking at those clouds moving fast. We had it here in Charlotte earlier. We do have a marginal risk, right? So we have a tier 1 out of 5 here in dark green on your screen for all of the Carolinas. This is the easiest I've ever had to communicate. I don't have to try to verbally draw lines. Marginal risk, tier 1 out of 5 for all of the Carolinas, according to that Storm Prediction Center outlook from that office of the National Weather Service. What does that mean? Well, here is the tornado parameter. That's what is that, 2-3%, that first tier? The actual, yeah. We have a 5% tier of damaging winds. Again, we just talked about what the definition of damaging winds is. That's 60 miles per hour or greater. Not really a documented threat of hail, but, I wouldn't rule it out completely. But we had some erroneous reports of hail earlier today, which is kind of always irritating. We appreciate everyone's reports, but sometimes it's always good to don't believe everything you read.
That's right. Sometimes they're not verified, and that one was not a verified report.
Right.
Neither neither one of them. I believe there's several out there. So
Yeah, and that's what the Weather Service will do, right? We were talking about this before. They're going to first issue warnings, then they're going to issue those storm damage reports. Those are things that are verified that people have called into them, that police officers have seen, that emergency management have seen, or that you at home have reported to them either through the Storm Spotter hotline, if that is a program that you are vetted to participate in, or through social media, but they won't issue it as a damage report until they feel confident that it is a true thing. So if you're ever looking to try to validate whether or not something you're reading on social actually happened, you can always check those storm reports. Speaking of storm reports, we do have a new storm report in right now from the National Weather Service. Scotty, why don't you read it, and I'll put it up on the screen.
Yep. So this was talking about the report earlier. This is going to be near Reedville in Spartanburg County. 3 hardwood trees down on a residence on Brookhaven Drive, and they're labeling this as a possible tornado, and that would be that area that we were kind of highlighting just a little bit.
Is this that Moore area that you were thinking?
Yes, I believe this is that. I know there are some of these rural places, they have names, but sometimes when they pop up in these reports, it'll say a bigger city or a bigger town. So this would be near that Moore area in Spartanburg County. So that's...
well, this would align, right? Because here's that damage report. This is about the time they issued that tornado warning, because then you can see just upstream of that, northeast of that, was Interstate 85 business, 26 actual Interstate 85, right? That is exactly when we came on the air to start tracking this warning.
Yes, that definitely is so. And so we will continue to watch this line now as it's moving through Rutherford County. I'm looking at the velocities there, and there's still some squigglies in there, but there's no...
That's the scientific word for it, right?
Couplet.
Squigglies?
Yeah, squigglies. We like that, don't we? There's no defined couplet there. So,
no, but we still have some pretty good winds right on up in here.
Yes.
And folks, it's this green and this red where they meet. That's where we're concerned about the rotation. And then it's this boundary layer that Scotty was talking about before, where even if you're not in a tornado warned area, wind is wind. So Scotty's watching this whole line, this kind of this area where that kind of outflow, that wind is going to be. I shouldn't call it an outflow because I'm inside the actual storm, but I'm just talking about that boundary layer of wind. And we're watching right now this. But we're also watching a bunch of tiny little areas like this that are all associated with this line, because this is not Oklahoma. This is not, we're going to track a tornado that's huge on the ground with great visibility for 50,000 miles. This is a setup today with these thunderstorms where these things can just kind of cycle up quickly. And so that's what we're going to be watching for. And again, there's also, we don't typically talk about it because it's not constituted as severe weather. Severe weather is wind, it's tornadoes, it's hail, but there's lightning out there. So if you can hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning, and no one wants to be struck by lightning either. That is obviously a threat to you, but also to property. So, there is obviously that associated with today's storms as well, too. So James, keep in mind. Go ahead, Scotty.
One other thing we don't really classified as severe weather, but there's been heavier pockets of rainfall fall over this area already today, and this is extremely, the reds on there, it doesn't take a lot in the weather community to know on reflectivity, when you see these deep reds, these purples, that's some pretty heavy precipitation. So a lot of heavy rain also falling in this area as well, so that's something to watch. I just put out a message to my followers who live here in the foothills. We need to keep an eye on this as this line continues to move off to the northeast. So if you live in McDowell, Burke, Caldwell, Catawba counties, keep your eye on this storm as we could see it cycle back up and see some more rotation. So it's something to watch here, just to keep our eyes on, to keep on guard. It's a Saturday evening. A lot of people probably trying to tune out from the work week and eating or whatever you may be doing at this time. Just be weather aware as this line quickly moves towards the Interstate 40 corridor.
Update now from the Weather Service. No, I heard the sound and I jumped. What I want to do right now, Scotty, is I want to just show people as we're waiting for an update on this tornado warned cell, which, by the way, it goes until 7:30. It is just now. If it is truly this, but maybe also that. It is going to come right up on the end of that boundary here, just in time. Whoever the National Weather Service timed this out hit the nail right on the head, because now at 7:30, it's going to be coming up on the end of the polygon, and they'll need to decide whether or not they were renewing this or what they're doing. So let's just say right now, we're Rutherfordton, Forest City, Bostic, Ellenboro. Just get to your safe place. It doesn't hurt to be in your safe place. You'd rather be safe than sorry. I want to go ahead and just scroll on down, Scotty, kind of the rest of this line. And we're looking right now from the perspective of Greenville-Spartanburg radar, because we keep talking about those squigglies, right? So, like, you can see them on the left side of your screen where the rain and the storm, they're not in a straight line. They're trying to do something. But luckily, we're not seeing too much of that in the actual wind profile on the right side of your screen with the velocities. But we're watching for the potential of things like, you know, out here towards Saluda. Yeah, that's a little red and a little green. Maybe there's a little something going on there. And by the time we get that far south, we have the benefit here in radar scope to switch radar sites. Now looking at it from the perspective of Columbia, yeah, you can see where we have a non-straight line. We have some mixing of those winds to and away from the radar. And so we'll watch. We'll watch to see what the Weather Service decides to do with parts of this line. But again, it's just a night to be weather aware. It's going to be going on through much of the Carolinas a little bit later on in the day than was originally forecast, right? It's 7 o'clock now, and this line is not even into Charlotte yet. And so you want a weather radio, something that will wake you up if you go to bed early. You want a phone, an app that might ding. You want more than one way to get a warning. In case one fails you, you have some backups. Right now, the question is going to be here at 7:28 what the Weather Service decides to do. Scotty, you want to read off? It looks like we have some new information coming into chat.
We got Greenville City Fire Department, Greenville, South Carolina department reporting some downed trees and power lines near the 300 block of Stone Avenue. I don't know, James. Let's pop your radar scope up. Do you have storm reports on there?
I do.
So if we back this out, if you kind of can connect the dots there from Oconee County, which is right there, you can kind of see
right here.
The Oconee County.
Oh, this. Oh, you want me to take this way back? You want me to like put this into like a 3-hour loop?
No, just highlight that storm report there in Oconee County.
Okay, right here.
And
this is the car flip CVS one.
Right, and now if we got a report of Greenville, downtown Greenville of damage.
Oh, like here, right?
So you can kind of see now if you connect the line there. This is the same storm that's been kind of meandering through the upstate. Now that it's getting in, we're getting into this low, this little localized low pressure. So it's starting to now rotate into the mountains. But if you kind of look at that track, kind of shows you the damage track of where this, we could call it an embedded supercell if you want, of this storm damage there. So you kind of connect the dots there. It's something I like to do to kind of see. You know, it's a pretty consistent line there where this storm has moved through that's produced damage. So if you live downstream of this storm, hey, you can look back and say there is a history of some damage with this event. Yeah. So
we do have confirmation. We have confirmation from the Weather Service that they'll issue an official storm report for that. So, right, so it's getting verified. The Weather Service also looked at this information that just came on in from a reliable source, from a first responding official, and the Weather Service also looked at it with their tools, radar and like, and said, yep, that makes sense. So we're going to issue what's called an LSR, a local storm report for that. And Scotty, good call on kind of the mapping here. And it's very interesting now that we got this in motion, right, that I've been watching some of these lines today, but the whole system is moving to the east, but then some of these storms are training to the north.
If you look at the observations, the surface observations, the METARs, you see at the surface we have southeast winds blowing in off the Atlantic Ocean. We have this cold front that's moving in from the west, and so that's your rotation right there. You've got wind flow coming in from the west associated with this cold front. At the surface, you have southeast winds, so they're veering back, and that's where we're getting these rotating thunderstorms, what we call supercells, and then sometimes that rotation can last or maintain all the way to the surface, and that's where we could see those tornadoes. We'll have to see what the Weather Service says with these 3 damage reports, if there's just straight line damaging wind or if it was an actual tornado that did touch down at the surface. But if you look at those surface profiles, the winds are coming in from the southeast, and then you look where the main line is moving from west to east, and so there you can kind of see that shear directional change of wind, and that's where we're seeing these storms really line up.
You know what? The other thing that reminds me, this is so summertime-like, right? If so many people have weather apps at home that they might be trying to follow along, depending on what their evening activities are. Watch out here. They're just they're generating. They're popping up, right? It's very summertime-like.
And there's a lot of CAPE, and that's just thunderstorm fuel in that area along the Interstate 85 corridor from Charlotte up to Greensboro. There's a highlighted area of about 1,000 joules of CAPE. You don't need to know the 1,000 joules part. Just know that there's CAPE. There's instability there.
Yeah.
A little bit of sunshine that's peaked out throughout the day at times, and that's just that added fuel that these thunderstorms need to kind of grow and survive. Just like you and me need food and water, these thunderstorms need energy to survive, and that CAPE is providing that energy for them. And that tornado warning has been allowed to expire at 7:30, so that's good news.
It's funny you mentioned food, because I always like to tell people if it looks like popcorn, and I'm always almost thinking of like old-fashioned popcorn you make on the stovetop or over a campfire, and it starts popping. That's exactly what's happening with a lot of these storms. The other thing I'm noticing, Scotty, is watch over time. By the time we get to the last frame, we're going to have almost like these lines that are starting to connect, starting to play connect the dots, like right up on in here, as opposed to when it's 2 hours back and it's a little bit more scattered. We were getting across the Charlotte area, we were getting those isolated mini supercells that we're trying to rotate. Now the line almost seems like it's building a boundary that is going to then kind of push.
And that's going to be a focus for some heavy rain, right in that area that you're highlighting.
Yeah,
that's focused for some heavy rain. I'm actually doing this. I'm also responsible for a concert that's going on right now for Atrium Health at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So been providing updates with them. So
that would be
if you live in Charlotte, if you live in Charlotte, and James, you live
I'm in
there,
Charlotte. Yes,
and I'm covering Charlotte tonight for an event. That line over Union, Chester, York County kind of looks a little scary to me.
Yeah,
I still think it's about 90 minutes to maybe 2 hours, maybe if we're lucky, before it kind of moves into the greater Charlotte area. But that's going to have to be watched too, because, like you said, there's some fuel there for these thunderstorms to kind of thrive off of.
Scotty Powell in the foothills of Western North Carolina, keeping an eye on things. James Brierton here in Charlotte. Comment that came in I want to address. Is this live? This is live if you're watching it on Saturday, April the 10th, 2021 at 7:34 p.m. Eastern Time. You are watching severe weather coverage from the folks here at the Carolina Weather Group. And if you are new to us, we are a weekly weather podcast. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday talking about weather, science, technology, and more from the Carolinas. Meaning, if you live outside the Carolinas, it's probably still of interest to you. And what you're watching right now is our wall-to-wall severe weather coverage across all platforms, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. We're also simulcasting on our mothership, the Carolina Weather Net. That is our nonstop streaming weather feed for the Carolinas, that when we are not in live coverage, will show you real-time weather conditions and real-time warnings alongside the best of our Carolina Weather Group podcast. We're going to be going back to that in just a moment. If that is something you want to check out, and you can find it on YouTube exclusively. It is on our Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel. So that means if you're watching on Periscope or you're watching on Facebook, we love you. But if you wanted to go watch the Carolina Weather Net in standby mode, you'd have to join the party over on YouTube. We will pop back up on all of our platforms when severe weather such as a tornado warning threatens, but our non-stop channel in its standby mode with the glory of the best of our show alongside these real-time conditions can only be found on YouTube.
James,
so go ahead, Scott.
Couple more reports from Greenville, South Carolina. This is from fire department, fire officials. Some reports of on-duty personnel in the Greenville City Fire Department reporting a lot of damage north of downtown on East Earl Street. So
in Greenville,
in Greenville, South Carolina. So we will have to watch that area and kind of monitor these reports. There's a new tornado warning coming out now for Rutherfordton County. This is going to be
somewhere close to that line we were. I'm going to guess it's going to be
probably from Forest City to the McDowell County line.
Come on, right there.
If I had to guess. I will say it would not be mid-April, without a Carolina Weather Group tornado warning coverage. It seems like we do it every time this time of the year. So 2021 continuing the tradition of tornado warnings in the Carolinas.
Yeah, well, it's my son's birthday is around this time, and we're always doing severe weather coverage around his birthday, it seems. So we're waiting. We speculate it's going to be just north of Rutherfordton. I'd be curious to see. We've only had 6 minutes since the last time this warning was issued, so it'd be curious to see if we get any damage reports out of Rutherfordton. But it's going to be somewhere in this area, we think. We'll wait for the Weather Service to officially type it up and draw it. What's up?
So we're talking about that report in Oconee County. This report coming out of a 160-foot radio tower located behind the CVS in Seneca that was mentioned in the LSR was damaged. The top 50 foot folded over in the wind. So that is something happened down there.
Yeah, that was I don't want to say it, but there wasn't a warning there, was there?
So this is going to come Burke, McDowell, and Rutherford. So James, let me get my people warned, and then I'll help you out. You're going to get all kinds of alerts here.
You do your people, then I got to do mine.
Okay.
All right, so we have a new tornado warning right now that goes until 8:15, scrolling at the bottom of your screen. This is going to be, as Scotty just mentioned, for Burke and McDowell County and Rutherfordton until 8:15. And it's going to be right there on your screen here in just the next few minutes. And we were just talking a moment ago when Scotty was referring to that radio tower. That was around 5:50 in Oconee County, South Carolina. So that was earlier. We don't have any storm damage reports right now out of this Rutherfordton County storm, but we do have this tornado warning now just issued by the National Weather Service for southeastern McDowell County, northeastern Rutherford County, central Burke until 8:15. National Weather Service tracking a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 7 miles northeast of Rutherfordton or 7 miles north of Spindale, moving north at 45 miles an hour. Locations include, but are not limited to, Morganton, Glen Apple, Salem, Lake James State Park, Lake James, of course, itself. All those areas about 8 o'clock is your ETA. Table Rock at about 8:10. So if you're inside any or near any of those locations, you want to go ahead and get to the lowest level of a sturdy structure, as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. And you want to put a helmet on, put some shoes on, put some pants, some eye protection if you can. And you want to go ahead and move there now. And if you know anybody who lives in that area, give them a call. They may not be watching right now. You can see right now we have that polygon on your screen. Left side of your screen and the right side of your screen are the same physical locations. The left side is the reflectivity you're so used to seeing on television for heavy rain. Right side is wind for velocity. And so where we're watching right now is the speculated tornado right up on in here just north of Rutherfordton, where the green and the red come together, because that's where the wind and the rain, the wind is coming towards the radar and away from the radar in close proximity to each other. And this is going to be, again, moving now north and east. Marion, you are just outside of this, but stay weather aware. We should all stay weather aware. You are pretty close to this, Marion. You're just outside this particular polygon, and we'll be keeping an eye on it.
Okay, so sorry about that, guys. My house is in this polygon, so I'm going to have to monitor several things. I need to let the Speedway know that I'm under a tornado warning and may lose power. So anyway, this tornado warning, this is going to be moving into McDowell and Burke County soon. This is going to be, there's a couplet here. This is very mountainous looking terrain, but this is going to be traveling up Highway 64. So if you are in the Highway 64 area, this is going to be in Brindletown, Dysartsville community. You need to be in your safe place right now, lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the size of the severe thunderstorm warning that just came out. We were just talking about everyone else that needs to be weather aware. We're going to have a severe thunderstorm warning on the screen here for all of this. Hickory, Lincoln County, Cleveland County, 60 mile per hour damaging wind potential coming away, as well as hail 3/4 inch size. And that is a very large severe thunderstorm warning, especially for this particular weather service office. They don't normally issue ones that big, but I think it's because, Scotty, they're clearly just looking at all of this wind. Look at all that bright pink there that is going to be moving on up this way. And again, they're also watching. So we're watching this. Come on, Telestrator. We're watching this area right here for potential tornadic rotation. We're watching this area right here for the possibility of the same thing, but all of this is moving this way. Wind is wind, folks. So, whether it is rotating in a funnel or it is coming at you in a wall in straight line, it can be damaging. And so we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. The Weather Service is also working on some storm damage reports from a little bit earlier.
Okay, so guys, again, if you live on Highway 64, this is going to be moving up into your area. I can't stress enough, if you're in Brindletown, Dysartsville community, you need to be in your safe place. This is going to be moving on the west side of the South Mountain State Park area. Brindletown, there's Glen Alpine, Lake James, Morganton, eventually Chesterfield. This is heading in your direction. In fact, I'm looking outside my window right now, and it does not look good. Looking at this thunderstorm right now, this has got his eyes set here on Morganton right now. So I can actually see right now, if I could flip my camera over. James, I know this is unprofessional, but we're going to flip my camera out this way. So right here is what we are seeing. This is going to be the thunderstorm that we're watching, the potential tornado warning, or potential tornado. This warning is going to be for Morganton. So if you are in Morganton, you need to be in your safe place right now. So that is Morganton, safe place right now. Lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to be in your safe place. If you live in Salem, again, this is going to be traveling up Highway 6418. So that's Rural King, Lowe's Home Improvement. You have the Cookout, the Chick-fil-A, Western Piedmont Community College. You have the Walmart shopping facility, downtown Morganton. This is going to be Johns River, the Walter Johnson Middle School area. You want to be in your safe place right now. These are all areas that are right here at my house. So I'm going to go get in a safe place in just a little bit as that circulation moves a little bit closer. I still got a little bit of time, but I'm going to monitor that. Seeing a lot of lightning with this cell as well. That means that the storm is really starting to strengthen. So you need to be in your safe place right now. And outside of that, we also have that severe thunderstorm warning for Catawba County, for Lincoln, for Cleveland, Gaston. That's going to be some very gusty winds as well. But this particular area of interest is now north of Forest City and Rutherfordton. So if you learn Rutherfordton, you're in the clear. This is going to be moving into southwestern McDowell and central Burke County right now. Southwestern McDowell, central Burke County right now. You need to be in that safe place because this storm is moving very quickly into the area.
Well, that's Scotty Powell in Morganton, North Carolina. Inside this tornado warned cell, the National Weather Service is tracking, and this is coming out of Rutherfordton County, North Carolina, into Burke County and into Morganton, where he is. The warning itself will go into 8:30.
I'm going to need to get my dog to stop barking. Lots of going on here. I need to share this out to our people here so we can get you on in the safe place here. So I'm going to share this out on my personal page here for all those who may not be knowing the tornado warning is here.
So you want to be moving to the lowest level of a sturdy structure and as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. And you want to call somebody if you're not in that area yourself. Give them a call. Let them know what it is. So we're watching on the right side of your screen. Right in here is the potential tornadic rotation that the radar is indicating.
Yeah, this is going to be moving right up the Highway 6418 corridor. I will tell you this: there's all kinds of EAS alerts going on right now here in the county. So, Jared, I know you got radar up. Maybe you can handle it for just a second.
Jared Smith will be taking over momentarily from Charleston, South Carolina. Go ahead, Scotty, and do exactly what it is that we preach: is move to your safe place. I'll be handing off coverage to him here momentarily to continue tracking from outside the area. We have some questions and comments about Myrtle Beach and other areas. This is the only game in town right now, folks. We do have all that heavy rain we talked about, but the only tornado warning is the one that we're talking about right now on your screen, and the only severe thunderstorm warning is just right next to it. Those are the only areas right now that are warned by any National Weather Service office in the Carolinas. We don't have any damage associated yet with this particular storm. We have other damage reports from earlier storms in upstate South Carolina, and we'll talk more about those later as we were talking about them a few moments ago.
Yep, James. Good evening, everybody. Just joining the coverage here a little bit. Obviously, we have just kind of assessing what's going on here. Let's reset things a little bit. We have a tornado warning. This goes until 8:15, and this is going to include places like Morganton. As you know, Scotty is in Morganton. He's taking shelter right now. Glen Alpine, Salem, Lake James State Park, Lake James around 8 o'clock, Table Rock around 8:10. So GSP is saying that a brief it looks like GSP is saying that there could be a weak tornado in here, and this has been cycling up and down, but you're definitely getting a good look now at right here is where your tornado warning, where your possible tornado could be. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna try and get a little bit better road data here in a second. So there's your hook, there's your inflow notch, there's your rotation right here. What we've got going on here, like we had with Scotty before, we've got a split screen. So I've got the reflectivity over on this side, and I've got the velocity directly behind me. Velocity shows you which way the wind is blowing. It's going towards the radar and away from the radar. When those areas come together, then we have a decent probability that we could have something down. So let me, we'll be switching radar sources here in just a second, but I want to urge people in Morganton right now, and anybody if your EAS just went off, if you're in those areas, I want to urge you to get to shelter. Lowest floor, interior room, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Very important to do that as this potentially dangerous storm moves very quickly. I think that's the other thing that we should call out here is that this is moving north at 45 miles an hour. It's probably very, very wrapped in rain. A lot of rain directly out in front of it. So again, you're not going to see it. Don't try to look for it. Just take cover. I mean, I think that's the most important thing that we can have you do right now. So again, I'm working on over here, taking a different source. This has some additional things. We'll be able to show you the rotation a little bit better with this. And I also want to point out that we have a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Lincolnton, Shelby. Let me zoom out to that actually. Hickory, Sawmills, Cherryville, Maiden. And this guy is going until 8:30. So again, southeast of the tornado, we may see some very strong damaging wind gusts here. If I sample it with the radar, now keep in mind the radar is looking up a little bit, but you got the radar here sampling winds about 60 miles an hour, about 2,000 feet up. So that very likely is going to show where we could get some of those more dangerous wind gusts as they come down. So let me, almost there, just the wonders of technology. But again, So a couple really dangerous storms right now, obviously in the foothills of North Carolina, getting into the Piedmont. This line of storms extends down. It's going to move into Columbia. Right now, nothing severe as you go further south. And again, we had a question about Myrtle Beach. We'll take that real quick. And bring this up right now. We're looking so this is looking out from Wilmington, North Carolina, starting to see it come into the radar range. However, the good news is that as the heating of the day is lost, we should start to see things improve a little bit as far as the severe weather threat further to the east. So I know that we had those questions come in, and certainly something that we're going to keep an eye on tonight, but I'm not too concerned right now. The main concern right now is for areas in the foothills of North Carolina, Salem, Morganton, Ruth. I think you're done, and you're going to be done with this in Ruth. This is crossing county lines now. Let me